At the medium and high light intensities, survival rates shot up to 41.5% and 42.0% respectively.
30% compared to what in the low light?
Just 2.7% in the low light condition.
Wow. So that's doing the math quickly.
Yeah.
That's like an 84-fold improvement over what people were seeing historically.
A whole new era of communication in the global aquaculture industry is coming. Now you have the brightest minds in aquaculture right in your pocket. And what's best? You can listen to all of them while driving to a farm, traveling, or running errands. It's never been this good, and it's never been this simple. Welcome to the Aquaculture Podcast Show, the first AI-based podcast in aquaculture, where you'll find cutting-edge insights in everything that's working in aquaculture, nutrition, health, and production.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're plunging into really quite a groundbreaking development in aquaculture. We're talking about a species that's been, well, notoriously difficult to cultivate, the European spiny lobster.
Palinurus elephas, yeah. Commercially valuable, ecologically important too.
Exactly. But raising them, historically incredibly tough. But now some recent findings might just change the whole picture.
They really might. I mean, this species, Palinurus elephas, its wild populations have seen some pretty severe declines.
Yeah.
So finding sustainable aquaculture methods isn't just, nice to have. It's become quite urgent for the industry.
Right.
But the big hurdle has always been larval survival. We're talking rates below 1%, making it past that philosoma stage to the purulus, less than 1%.
Which is that critical post-larval stage, right, before they become juveniles.
Precisely. Non-feeding, transitional. And with those kinds of survival numbers, large-scale production just seemed, almost impossible. A real bottleneck.
Okay, so let's unpack that bottleneck.
Why Genetics turns podcast airtime into brand authority. We don't sell ads, we elevate voices. Curious how far your voice can go to become a reference in the industry and attract more leads? Scan the QR code and discover how we can turn your expertise into unmatched brand authority. Let's transform expertise into influence, starting now.
The larval philosoma stage. Everyone knew it was the weak link for this species.
The Achilles heel, definitely.
So researchers, after years maybe focusing on feed or water quality, they decided to look at something a bit different, an environmental factor that hadn't been explored quite as much.
Light intensity.
Light intensity. You'd think it might be some complex new feed formula, but no. Light seems simple, but the results were anything but.
Exactly. So the setup was pretty careful. They took larvae from controlled hatchings, put them in these 65-liter chrysal tanks.
Okay, those circular ones. Keeps things suspended.
Right, gentle flow. And they exposed these tanks to 3 different light levels. One was quite low, only 26 lux.
Dim.
Very dim. Then a medium at 359 lux, and a high, or brighter, setting at 910 lux. All on a standard 12-hour light, 12-hour dark cycle.
And crucially, what were they feeding them?
Yes. Throughout the trial, they used dentex fish larvae, common dentex. And that choice, as we'll see, turned out to be, well, highly significant, not just any feed.
Interesting. Focusing on light with a specific diet in the background. So what happened? What did they find with survival rates? This is where it gets really good, right?
It really does. The results were, frankly, extraordinary. Forget that less than 1% figure.
Yeah.
At the medium and high light intensities, survival rates shot up to 41.5% and 42.0% respectively.
30% compared to what in the low light?
Just 2.7% in the low light condition.
Wow. So that's doing the math quickly.
Yeah.
That's like an 84-fold improvement over what people were seeing historically.
An 84-fold improvement. It's a staggering leap. Now, interestingly, in the very early stages R to Thur, there wasn't much difference statistically.
Okay.
But from stage 4 onwards, the positive effect of the higher light levels became really, really clear, statistically significant.
So it kicks in later in the larval development.
It seems so. And it wasn't just survival percentage. The median survival time, the LTRO, was also much longer in the brighter conditions, over 100 days compared to just 76 in the dim light. Give them more time to develop properly.
An 84-fold jump is absolutely a game changer. But you mentioned mortality wasn't completely eliminated. There was this sort of U-shaped curve. High losses early, then again later.
That's right. Peaks in mortality at stage I, and then again around stage 6.
So what's the thinking there? Why those specific points?
Well, stage I mortality, that's likely down to the initial stress of hatching, molting, maybe getting the hang of feeding. They're very vulnerable then.
Makes sense.
The later spike, stage 6, That lines up with the huge energy demand of metamorphosis into the purulus stage. Plus, they actually stop feeding right before that molt.
Ah, okay. So high energy needs no income?
Pretty much. And that's where the light seems to help. The thinking is that higher light intensities likely improve their ability to see and catch prey earlier on.
Better feeding efficiency.
Exactly. Better prey detection, maybe better swimming behavior to actually capture the prey. It helps them build up the energy reserves they need for that tough stage 6 transition. We've seen similar things hinted at in other species too, like rock lobsters and slipper lobsters.
Okay, so light is clearly monumental here. But, in aquaculture, it's often not just one single thing, is it? Was there something else working alongside the light?
You nailed it. It's rarely a silver bullet. That dietary strategy we mentioned, using the dentex larva, that was almost certainly just as critical.
Why those larvae specifically?
They're naturally very rich in essential lipids, things like highly unsaturated fatty acids, basically a high-calorie, nutrient-packed food source. Much better, it seems, than some of the more traditional, maybe less nutrient-dense feeds used in the past.
So it's the combination, optimized light and premium nutrition.
That's the strong hypothesis, a powerful synergistic effect. The light helps them find and eat the food, and the food provides the high-quality energy they need to thrive under those conditions. That synergy likely explains these, really unprecedented survival rates.
So let's talk impact. What does this actually mean for the industry? Can we finally think about scalable production for European spiny lobster?
I think this fundamentally changes the conversation about feasibility. I mean, look at the numbers from this study. They produce 435 peruli.
435, after starting with rates below 1%.
Exactly. And they got 100 juveniles to the first juvenile stage pretty quickly, within 10 days post-settlement, and even managed to rear 10 individuals all the way to stage 7 within about 335 days.
That scale just hasn't been documented before for this species, has it?
Not like this. It's a landmark achievement. It tells us that light intensity isn't just something to guess at anymore. It's a key operational variable we can actually define and control to optimize the rearing.
So it offers real strategies, not just for potential commercial farming, but maybe even for helping wild populations, restoration.
Absolutely. It opens doors for both. Producing juveniles for restocking is suddenly a much more viable prospect.
It's a huge step, but research never stops, right? Where does the work go from here? What needs fine-tuning?
Oh, there's still plenty to explore. We need to look at finer gradients of light intensity. Is 359 lux the absolute sweet spot? Or is it slightly higher, slightly lower? What about the light quality? The spectrum? Does blue light work better than full spectrum?
And photoperiod, the length of the day.
Exactly. How does varying the light-dark cycle interact with intensity and spectrum? Plus, how does light interact with other factors like temperature, salinity? It's complex.
And the diet. Relying on live fish larvae can be tricky for hatcheries.
That's a major point. Developing a formulated diet that perfectly mimics the nutritional profile of those dentex larvae is crucial for standardization and, frankly, cost-effectiveness. Reducing dependence on live feeds is a big goal.
Makes sense.
And, of course, you can't scale up without rock-solid disease control, especially managing bacterial challenges, things like Vibrio species, which can really hit hard in later larval stages. That needs constant vigilance and protocol development.
Okay, so to kind of wrap up this deep dive, the big takeaway seems to be that this strategic combo, getting the light right and providing that high-octane, nutrient-rich diet, has just blown the doors open for spiny lobster aquaculture.
It really has. It's moved the needle dramatically, offering real pathways towards sustainable, maybe even large-scale production.
So the provocative thought then, what's next?
Well, the question becomes, what other refinements, physiological or environmental, could push these efficiencies even further? If we can truly understand these intricate biological responses to light, to nutrition, maybe to flow patterns, could we develop truly predictive models?
Models that lead to highly productive, reliable systems.
Exactly. Not just for spiny lobsters, but potentially cracking the code for other marine species that have been stubbornly difficult to culture. That's where this could lead, securing both economic opportunities and helping ecological recovery.
An extraordinary step, really showing how drilling down into these fundamental biological needs can unlock huge potential across the whole aquaculture sector. A much brighter outlook for the future.
If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to follow the Aquaculture Podcast Show on your favorite platform. And don't forget to follow us on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook to stay updated on the latest episodes and industry insights. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.